Wrestling fans, I'm Dan Mirade.
I'm Matt Degnan.
Wrestling Insider Special Edition is next.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome to a special edition of Wrestling Insiders, where we talk the latest news, notes, results, and opinions. I'm Dan Mirade, joined by this fine, well-socked individual.
Matt Degnan. Well, I don't have the glasses anymore, so I guess I'm not Clark Kent either.
You're not Clark Kent. We're not doing the live stream, I guess. I had never seen you in those glasses, and I didn't. Those are pay-per-view specials, I guess.
I guess they could be the pay-per-view specials.
It's almost
now.
like Seth Rollins when he wears the special tights for the pay-per-view. You break out glasses.
Break out the glasses. I got no watch either today.
You don't have a watch? All right, good.
No.
You don't. All right. What do we got going on here? We are going to try to chop these up into individual episodes. Some people have said that the pilot episode that we taped not too long ago almost needed a pilot because it was as long as a flight. But you know what? We got through it. The fans enjoyed it. I don't think it even had one thumbs down.
I thought it was an easy watch. I mean, even though it's...
Well, because you were on.
Yeah, because I was on it.
It was
it's an easy watch.
Yeah. Easy watch. And with many comments about those socks.
The polka dot socks are here today.
Dusty Rhodes, eat your heart out. I've still got the slides on. Fans, we are taping this episode on Friday. And let me tell you, maybe to pique their interest at first, before we get into the... What are we talking about first today?
Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar most likely facing each other at WrestleMania 37.
No one cares about that. What I have to say is far more interesting. I am getting so tired of dealing with these wrestling people, folks. Now, I'm not going to name any names, but I am tired. I am going today on to show how much preparation I do to try and bring you the most interesting, invigorating programs possible with Tony, Marty, and so many others. I do a lot of prep work. Last night I was up until almost 5 a.m. I remember seeing 4:50-something. Then, because I'm one of the world's worst sleepers, because of the concussion I suffered from that car accident I was in with the Sheik, my sleep is horrible. So I'm up every hour or two. I happen to check the text message at about 7:20. I don't know if I want to get into the whole story, but let me tell you, oh baby boy, was Dan Mirade pissed. Dan Mirade had to throw on the official, much like Matt with the pay-per-view, the glasses. We had to get on that laptop to try and do a little computer action and was shunned. We would decline trying to deal with the hotel, so then I had to call a hotel and reaffirm what I already knew, that there's 24-hour cancellation policies that go along with these hotel rooms, and I just was pissed that I had to listen to a little complaining, and that pissed me off a little more on 2+ hours sleep. Then after I was done with the text and the computer and the phone calls, and I couldn't fall back to sleep, so I read more of Brutus Beefcake's book, who had a wonderful story about Ox Baker, another man that's known to love a free meal, much like Mr. USA Tony Atlas. I still couldn't fall back to sleep. Then, just as I shut the light off again and started to close my eyes, the chairman of the MWF, Mr. Neil Manolian, bullshit about what was going on with the situation that I had to deal with on 2 hours sleep, had to call and pester me. And as I answered the phone with probably a very ultra-aggressive what, his response wasn't all that great. Then I saw 11 o'clock and I said, you know what? It would be a complete waste of time to try and get any sleep at this point. But we are here. We are waiting for our top technical expert, Mr. Gabe Griff Garrison, to join us to actually switch the camera shots. So right now, folks, you're either going to get this look, or you can listen to us like a podcast, as he would say, down in, what is it, southwestern Connecticut? Southwestern Connecticut, where the Prodigy is from. But I tell you, I have been doing so much lately to try and prepare for a very big fall and winter, both for the show and combining that with the Paul Bearer Holiday Headlock Toy Drive, which we're going to be talking about, obviously, once it's a little closer to Christmas than the middle of September. But we're going to be having some heavyweights here in the studio. We're going to have some returning friends. We're going to be having some new friends. It's going to be a great time. If you guys join me on, I'm going to say, maybe it was the Ask Atlas episode. I was kind of hot in the live chat, because if you folks join us on Tuesdays at 9 with Tony Atlas and Thursdays at 9 with Marty Jannetty, usually we have a really fun group chat going with the gang. That's what well, that's how I type. I don't yell at the computer and the words spit out. I have to type.
It could be voice activated.
But, well, I'm not quite that technical yet. You got to remember where my birthday is going to be in a couple weeks. Not even a couple weeks. 10 days from when we tape this. But anyway, I was hot under the collar dealing with some talent that were just being a real pain in the balls, pardon my language. Tina, Tania, Stoney, whatever your name may be. And Miss Maria, pardon my language. But again, I'm on 2 hours sleep. You never know what may come out of my mouth. And then after Matt and I tape these episodes, Tony Atlas is back for the second time in 6 days. So I don't know if I'm going to have much of a voice left next week, but we do what we can. But I'm just tired of the one thing that I don't understand, how outside of WWE, people like us, non-WWE type folk, are responsible for hotels, are responsible for all the local transportation, when in a lot of cases, they're big boys, they can put on their big boy pants, they can get a rent-a-car and find their own hotel and save me a lot of stress. Because let me tell you, Uncle Vince down in Connecticut, he's got a lot more financial resources than we do here in Boston Wrestling Sports. I know with this multi-million-dollar studio, it may not seem that way, or maybe it seems kind of close. But Vince has just got a couple of more nickels and dimes in the piggy bank than Boston Wrestling Sports. You know what I mean?
Just a few.
Vince, if he had the super chat going tonight, I'm sure during the live premiere, it would be lit up like Atlantic City or Las Vegas, baby. But I know all of our great friends watching in Cyber World, they're going to be helping out with the super chat. They know Dan Mirade, he doesn't need to eat or drink. He needs some kind of a drug to awaken the man, because I am tired.
Like your Monster Energy drink.
Yeah, one like that. But there's a lot going on in the world of professional wrestling. I've had an interesting week with interesting people. We're going to attempt a live stream with Tony. We just got a lot going on, but I needed to vent. I'm tired of dealing with, I guess the real term I could use are grovelers. There's a lot of that goes on in professional wrestling, and I don't understand why you just can't be an easy person that holds up to your end of a bargain in a deal, do your work, get paid, go home, help make it successful, and do it all over again, because that works for everybody. When you're a pain in the ass, no one wants you around. You know, I think Linda said that to me a few dozen times over the years, but that's a different story for a different time. All right, well, now we'll get back into the world of current events professional wrestling instead of the behind-the-scenes drama. As I just spit all over myself, well, I was so excited.
I wish you'd speak your mind more.
Just gulps of spit fumed out of me.
You're hulking up.
As I said, drama, my spit hulked up. It was so excited to say the word drama behind the scenes here in Boston Wrestling Sports in September. As we're going to tell you another thing before we get it, we'll get the cheap, we're going to have this wonderful Hot Rod Roddy Piper jacket. We're going to be trying to raise some money for one of my sadly, it's not something I find joy in, but it's Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month, but we do enjoy trying to help raise some money for those poor kids and to find a cure to the disease. I didn't want to make it sound like I actually enjoy pediatric cancer. That is not me, even with
doing
my
work
sense
for
of
them is what you enjoy.
Trying to help them out. We do it every year. WWE works with Connor's Cure. We're going to try and assist. We're going to have some specialty merchandise. We're going to be plugging an awful lot because we know you fine folks want to help those kiddos. So, yeah. All right, now you're the one with the script in your phone.
This is a good
Take
transition.
Take it away, brother. I can't even, and usually when we switch the camera shots, I'm rubbing my eyes, I'm rubbing my nose, I'm stretching my back. I don't have this luxury now because there's only one camera shot until we get Gabe Griff Garrison.
What time is he coming?
He's cyber schooling now down at the
Tell him to bring his laptop down here.
Well, I don't know. You know what the Wi-Fi signal is like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know? But anyway, let's talk wrestling, baby. What do we got? Give me some scoops.
After the vent, we'll get into Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre. There's been talks of them facing each other at WrestleMania 37, and this happens almost...
What does this have to do with Raw? Because it's a Raw scoop, I guess?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about the show. Okay, I like this better. All right.
Okay. But every year, around the fall time, there's always these rumors of people facing each other at WrestleMania, which I always think are so outlandish. And how many times does it actually happen when the rumors come out, so-and-so is facing so-and-so at WrestleMania, whatever?
The funny thing is, it's different every year. What year did the movie It come out?
2017, 16? Well, that might have been 15, actually.
Was it that long ago, the first one?
I don't know.
Well, I remember, because I went and saw it with Linda. And for my birthday, which, as I mentioned, if you want to send a birthday card, we'll have the address at the end of the show. I remember we went out for dinner. We had the kid and whatnot. And I had, not the whole lineup, but the top 5 or 6 matches. I said, you want to know them? And he thought about it, and he said, yeah. And I gave him, and all 5 or 6 of those matches, and this is September now, were concrete for that next year's WrestleMania, and he was kind of impressed. Then there are other times come September, and there's not much chit-chat going on at all. So I don't, if it was me, do you know what I would do? Do you really want my opinion?
Even though you've been giving your opinion about the whole show so far.
I'm going on
Speaking your mind, here we go.
I would have 2 different lineups.
Like they did this year?
No, I would have a lineup.
Oh, like an A card and a B card, like a backup type of thing?
I would have one if they're able to have a crowd, and I would have one if it's a Thunderdome WrestleMania.
You think a Thunderdome WrestleMania would be fun?
I guess no more or less than a good Raw or a SmackDown could be. But I'd have a super show prepared if it was going to be a big stadium show that fans could attend. If it's just going to be another show with television monitors or NXT students banging on hockey plexiglass, I wouldn't go all out with the lineup, but that's just one man's opinion.
You do 2 separate nights?
No, I do
like
2 separate lineups. I'll tell you this, I think that would be great too.
Oh, like how New Japan does it, how they do it in separate nights?
Even if they get back to the point where they could, let's just say in a perfect world, we have a vaccine, people are comfortable to travel and attend live events like that, even if they could do, I can't think, is it SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles?
So that's where the Chargers play.
Is that the name of it? Was more along the line of my question? Yeah. If they can do that, I would still go the route of 2 days. I think it would be fun. I think it would cause a lot of chaos with some of the other events that happen that weekend. But you know what? I don't think WWE should really be worried about anybody but WWE.
So you take off NXT TakeOver from that lineup or move it to...
I would try and do a super show on the Wednesday from the Staples Center live.
That'd be pretty fun.
I would do that. I'd do the Hoff on Thursday, SmackDown Friday,
2 nights
WrestleMania Saturday and Sunday, and then a Raw, as you call it, on Monday.
That'd be a pretty good lineup. I'd like to see that.
I think this year it was going to be in Tampa. I don't think the Hall of Fame was going to be
at
Amalie Arena. But it wasn't going to be at Amalie Arena. It was going to be at the convention center where they were doing the fan access, which I thought was a little insulting, but it hasn't been a great draw the past several years.
And then people get up and leave early. Remember when Goldberg was doing his speech in New Orleans, and they did a shot of the crowd, and there was nobody. Even some of the wrestlers leave. Some of the workers for WWE, they end up going, and I think after that they implemented the policy that you have to stay there for the whole thing. And then you saw the next year in 2019, when it was in New York City, you saw Bret Hart, someone did the run-in on him. You remember that?
At least there was one person happy to be there. But no, I was just going to ask you, were you at the one with me? I think it was New Orleans, but I've never been to a WrestleMania with you. But I remember leaving, just trying to get out of there. My back was so sore. And I ran into Shelton on the street coming out of a CVS or some kind of a
convenience
store like that, and the street closed. I said, what the hell are you? I wasn't expecting to see him, and Shelton's a friend. What the hell are you doing? And he said what he said, and it was good to see him. And, well, he didn't really lose too much sleep over missing the Hoff, I guess. But what are you going to do?
Oh. Do you think there should be a policy for everybody to stay at the Hall of Fame? I mean, I believe it shows respect to the people going in. Because imagine being the main person like Goldberg and looking out and seeing nobody there while you're doing your speech.
I think they have too many people. I think they overbook it. I think they put in too many needless people. I think the Warrior Award is a drain that is just... I think it would be a nice segment on Raw. I don't think the Warrior Award belongs as part of WrestleMania. If they wanted to present the Warrior Award during Pediatric Cancer Month in September, I think that might be a nice 10 to 15-minute segment on Raw to do something different, if they wanted to do it in October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Although I do have to say, last time, this year obviously we didn't have one, but the last Hall of Fame ceremony, the Warrior Award was probably given to the most deserving person in the company, my longtime close personal friend who I adore, and I actually stood when she came out to receive her Warrior Award. So, but does it belong? Even this year, it would have been a long night with the number of inductees they had.
Because they have about 8 to 10, something around there, and then they each do about 20, at least 20-minute speeches.
I'm not a fan of the multiple-time inductees.
I don't like that. Just go in once, and then I don't like the people that go in and then they come back to wrestle after. You like Kurt Angle and Beth Phoenix and Edge and all that.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
It's okay if they want to do like a one-off, type of deal, but when they come back and they start doing match after match after, like Goldberg, that's overkill. And then he just announced a couple weeks ago
I think at that point they really weren't planning on.
I know some stuff they don't really plan for after, but they should have it like NBA or NFL. You have to wait a certain number of years so you're older and you're retired so you don't come back and play.
Look at the long-term booking with their actual content. You think they're actually giving the Hall of Fame long-term thought process?
I mean, they got people in there who shouldn't even be in, and then they got people who are in the Hall of Fame 2-3 times. So in 10 to 15 years, you might see 4-time Hall of Famers or whatever because they're going in different tag teams and factions and whatnot.
I'll tell you this, for the first few years, I absolutely loved the Hall of Fame. Thanks to, what was the first one when they came back to life with it? 04, the weekend of WrestleMania 20, the night Brock Lesnar almost physically annihilated me. I don't know if I've ever told you that story.
No.
At the hotel, because he was not allowed, well, no, he didn't want to go to the Hall of Fame, and he was trying to avoid fans. In the entrance that I was given, they had the little rounding, the doors, I don't know, I'm definitely not coming up with the right term.
Roundabout or
like
turnstile?
Or like a rotary.
Rotary, turnstile.
Yeah, with the door. So I was walking in late, and I just remember the door from behind hit me, and I took a bump into the, and I fell, and I was like, what the was that? And I look up, and Sable's standing over me. So I'm like, have I died and gone to heaven? And she's apologizing to me. I'm like, what is this? And then Lesnar grabbed her by the hand and said, let's go. So he was very aggressive entering the store. He didn't really care as I was laying on the ground. And wherever that was in New York City, that was thanks to the superstar Billy Graham. And then in 05, I went out Hollywood baby with Sheiky baby. For his maybe the greatest Hall of Fame induction speech of them all was the Sheik's, when they had to hit his theme music not once but twice to try and get him to stop, but he had more material. He wanted to keep going.
But no one really understood what he was talking about.
The best part about that speech that I don't think the fans would have had the chance to enjoy was the reaction at the end of the row with me was Ron Simmons and JBL. Seeing their reaction to him, I was crying. And I wanted to kill the Sheik because I was crying for a different reason. Because even though, he set up the tickets and such, I had to take care of the hotel. He gave me the name of the hotel, only it was in the wrong part of Los Angeles. So I had to take $80 taxi cabs to get around Los Angeles all weekend for WrestleMania.
Oh,
21 WrestleMania goes Hollywood. But you know what? As angry as I was about that money that was wasted because of the Sheik, that weekend was a memory. That was when Rhino had the plant issue with the WrestleMania after party, when he picked up a plant that probably weighed more than me and hurled it. And Johnny Ace had to come and try and calm him down. And that was an interesting weekend.
It was a good Mania, too.
I thought it was one of the better WrestleManias until the last 3 matches.
Why is that?
Because I thought Akibono and the Big Show sucked. I thought John Layfield and Cena was way too short. And I thought Batista and Triple H was way too long. But I think if you look at that show up until that point, I thought that was an excellent, overall still good.
And the opener
was an excellent show.
Was Ray versus Eddie, right?
Yeah.
They were tag team champions.
Tough because Ray was having trouble with his mask that night. He kept losing vision.
Oh,
I don't
really?
know if the fans could tell that from watching it at home, but maybe if you watch it on replay with a little Mirade insight from someone that was there.
On the WWE Network.
And I will say this, And I said that's why I consider, despite my personal favorites, things I enjoy, I consider Shawn Michaels to be the best of all time, match for match, because that was yet another time when he worked Kurt Angle. I said, that is the best wrestling match I've ever seen. And Bobby Heenan went to him that night and said, that was the best wrestling match I've ever seen.
Well, as you do to Tony, got to reel you in, because we got to stay on the topic of Raw, because we wanted to keep this short.
Yeah, who wants to hear about interesting stories as opposed
the next
to
note
dog
is
shit
about,
that no one's going to watch? Let's hear it, baby.
It's
What else
about
do we
your
got?
buddy Ivar, who suffered an injury this past week on Monday night.
I had a chance to speak to him, and I'll keep part of that privy because I don't know if it's out there in internet land, but
not yet.
It's very unfortunate what happened to him. You know, the accident with MVP, it could have happened to anyone at any time. I don't know how Bobby Lashley's name was involved in it, but it was more of an MVP doing. But, you know, he's going to get some time to
recover,
repair himself, fix himself up. I think he'll be back better than ever. He's had some nagging injuries going way back to before he ever went to WWE, before he ever went to Ring of Honor. I mean, back when he was Millennium Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion, I mean, he had some serious injuries that he battled through to the point that he almost retired before he ever became a nationally recognized star, which is why I have so much respect for him. One of my favorite people on the planet. He used to be in this studio every Sunday night to perfect the craft of promos, even though he really doesn't use it as a Viking Raider or is he a Viking Raider now?
Viking Raider, and even though some of the promos are scripted.
Well, I just don't remember what kind of a Raider he is.
Well, he's
War, Viking, Oakland, Las Vegas, I don't know. He's a Raider of some kind.
I don't like the Raiders from Las Vegas.
But no, it really hurt me when I found out he was hurt, and I didn't bother him the day of because that's when every loser on the planet that's ever met him once or twice, oh, Ivar.
You sound like Beth Phoenix.
No, it'd be much deeper ooh and ah, especially if she watched it live on commentary. But, you know, every person that ever met him once or twice in his life is his best friend on Facebook all of a sudden, praying for his recovery. And I wanted
and then he sent out the tweet the next day.
I wanted to give him a day or two to get through that bullshit before him and I got down to the nitty-gritty. And we had a great talk. Hopefully I think he's going to have a masterpiece of a book someday with some of his experiences in life and in wrestling.
He's been in almost every company, too.
Like I said, aside from his professional wrestling antics, he's had a very interesting life, and I think the fans would enjoy it. But I don't want to say too much because a lot of the times when I'll give the scoops here, I never take them from direct friends, and I wouldn't do that to him and put him on the spot like that. But I just hope some of the stuff that him and I talked about becomes a reality at some point. And I guess I'll leave it at that as he recuperates, and hopefully he enjoys time in the Sunshine State with his little dogs, and hopefully will give us some great items for the 9th annual Pallbearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive. Maybe some beard clippings, who knows?
I don't know about, hopefully they're beard clippings. As we move into our next piece, WWE talent were told at the pre-Raw meeting that they can continue to be on Twitch and YouTube as long as they use their real names and inform the company about their accounts. What did you think about that whole Twitch and YouTube third-party type of stuff? That they weren't allowed to use?
Banning them from being able to do it, borderline illegal. For them not to use the WWE-owned personalities, very smart on WWE's behalf. WWE invests multi-millions of dollars in those talents. For them to take those names and use them for their own personal pursuits, no. It'd be the same as them going to AEW. I'll just use Roman Reigns as an example, not that he do it, but Roman Reigns cannot go to AEW as Roman Reigns. He does not own that name. Roman Reigns could not go and star in a movie as Roman Reigns unless it was something that WWE approved or brokered. So I don't see why they could do or should be able to do that on any social media platform that they're going to benefit monetarily from. For them to be able to, if he wanted to go on as, I forget his real first name, but
Joe Anoa'i.
Well, that's not his real name, but Joe Anoa'i is what he goes by. If he wanted to go on Twitch or Cameo or those things and do that, he should have every right to do that if that's what he wants to do with his free time.
Yeah, because if it's the WWE name, I could see them not wanting them to use it. But if it's their real names, they can't do too much there. In some cases, they own some people's real names as well.
No, they don't.
some people's real names that they use.
They don't. They can say they do, but they don't. Now, I remember John Cena Sr. and I had this argument about his son. Wow. When that first movie he was in came out.
12 rounds?
Yeah.
See?
Because he went on Howard Stern and actually said that. And we
Out
had
in
a
front
debate
here?
about it. Huh?
Out in front here? Howard Stern.
No, not that one. That's Howard Miller, the stunt double. No, on Howard Stern, John Cena said, "Oh no, WWE owns mine." You don't own someone's legal name.
Oh.
There's a whole.
I know a lot of people were talking about
We
it.
need to have an entertainment lawyer on here to give you much more of a detailed explanation.
Because there's conflicting reports on all that stuff of owning names and owning
There's a lot of
whatever it
things
is.
in those contracts that could be looked at as
Loopholes.
either null and void or illegal or both. And I guess I'm going to leave it at that because I am a very proud WWE stockholder. So I'd love for them to be able to own those names, but you can't. They came into the planet with them. You know what I mean? WWE doesn't become the third biological parent because they're under contract with them
Unless they
to
adopt
sports entertain.
Unless they adopt them.
I don't see that happening.
Imagine Vince having all... he adopted everybody in WWE or all his kids.
Well, I know in an episode of the show coming up, Tony Atlas gets very angry thinking that the talent was trying to take advantage of WWE. I was very surprised that he took
I don't know. I can't
vantage
see them
point, but
taking advantage of WWE.
if it's their own time, they should be able to do anything they want within, common sense. Being able to make money in their own free time falls into that category. If I was one of the talents and they told me that I couldn't make extra money, I mean, look at the income they're losing right now from those that were on the house show loops. Lost income. Those merchandise sales are down big time.
They just
Lost
released
income.
a bunch of people on Thursday.
Well, they really need them.
I mean, they have a lot of money. I mean, they're cutting people that they don't use or haven't worked in a while. So I understand it, but it does suck for the people that have been released.
I agree with that 100%. Well, those that were released really need all the help they can get right now. But for those that are still with the company, when it comes to professional wrestling pursuits, it's all owned by WWE. Anything that they want to do outside of the auspices of WWE, WWE needs to know about it. Not control it, but WWE needs to be fully aware of it and monitor it.
Like as the last part of it said, inform the company about their accounts.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's just letting them, it's like a parent, letting them know where you are type of thing, what you're doing.
I don't think WWE was prepared for the backlash they received from it.
I mean, I would have been, if I was going to make a statement about owning people's names and, claiming that, you own them or whatever and you're controlling them like that, I mean, I would prepare for some backlash, especially with the wrestling world, that they take something that's this big and they make it this big. It's just, everything from here in the wrestling world looks like this.
Well, to see a couple of very pro WWE Hall of Famers come out and attack it, along with the leader of the Yang Gang.
Oh, Andrew Yang. He shot on WWE and Vince McMahon.
I think maybe they hit the pause button and backtrack just a tad. And I think what has been released now is the way to go.
Definitely better than what they originally said. And then back to some more Raw news, as that was more of main WWE. Mojo Rawley was a part of Retribution on Raw this past Monday. He was wearing the hood. Wow, yeah, the usual reaction.
I tell you, I was...
And then Mercedes Martinez, she was one of the people that was in the hood too. Dominic Dijakovic and Dio Madden.
But telling you, I'm looking more and more forward to seeing Retribution after hearing this list.
Yeah. The Hell in a Cell pay-per-view is expected to be main evented.
Before you even go there, I think Retribution is awful.
No,
I think
as we said on the last show, I think
Did I say that on the last show?
Oh, we buried them the last show.
I didn't remember.
That's why I kind of wanted to move back.
Oh, all right. I don't see where you go with it. It's ridiculous. It
This is what we were
defies
talking
common
about.
sense. How they're able to have promos when they're this group of I don't even know if they're wrestlers, non-wrestlers, whatever they're supposed to be.
And they finally got a logo too.
First they attacked outside the venue, then they attacked inside the venue, then they attacked in the locker room, and now they have promos. Yeah. And they wonder why the popularity is where it is.
And they got a logo that went up on the screen.
Oh, they have a logo too. I missed that.
They have a logo that was plastered all over the arena as the
really?
As the lights went out during that handicap match with Nia Jax.
It was almost like when we watched the AEW pay-per-view. Maybe Retribution was part of that.
No, that was SummerSlam when the lights went out.
No, that's when they went out completely. But if you remember during AEW it looked like we were at a blues club or something. We had on just a couple of lights and the ones behind us.
Had a little mood to the studio.
A little mood to the studio, yeah. Now, what's some of the other big scoops here, Giuseppe?
The Hell in a Cell pay-per-view is expected to be main evented by Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE title inside the cell.
I wonder if it'll be that slick-looking red cell again they had last year.
Did you like that? I liked it. I think for the fans, it's kind of hard to see.
Without the element of violence, I hate to say it because I loved the original Hell in the Cell concept. It's just pointless. It's just another match. I'd rather see a cage match where the cage would come into play more. Okay, there's a big cell outside the ring on the mats. No blood. I mean, when was the last real good Hell in a Cell match they had?
I've been starting to watch the pay-per-views because as the pay-per-views coming up, I watch them.
I'd say probably 15 when they did Undertaker and Lesnar. I thought that was
a good one.
And I'll say this, you know what? I thought the Usos and New Day was excellent.
I just watched that one. That was a good one.
Considering what they had to work with.
Owens and Rollins was good until the ending when Jericho came in and they had him.
That was in Boston.
That was in Boston, yeah. I was actually going to text you that I was watching it.
I would have been all excited if you texted
Oh, yeah, you would have
me
been pumped. And then the ending last year with Rollins and The Fiend with the big hammer and the referee stopped the match. Oh, that was... I thought the fans were going to jump the barricade and go attack the ref or something.
All it is now, they turned a great gimmick match that fans loved. First, they hoarded out by going from having it as an attraction to having, okay, well, let's have, instead of one Hell in the Cell match, we'll have 2 or 3 on the pay-per-view. They had too many. And now, like I said, the element of violence and danger is gone. So now it's more like a visual than anything else.
And then it also takes the right people for the match to be good. Like Shane McMahon and Undertaker. That was a good match from WrestleMania.
That was about triple the length it should have been. But other than that...
Good quality.
No.
For the ages that they were and what they did in that match, that was insane.
The thing is, you shouldn't give those people at certain stages of their life a half-an-hour Hell in the Cell match.
Well, they were trying to kill time on that pay-per-view because the card was not that long from that one. The only thing that...
There's a lot of different ways you can stretch a card out, too.
Oh, well, that. But then when you don't have enough planned, you got to stretch out. That ladder match that opened up the show was long. Roman Reigns and Triple H, that match was I think that went about a half hour. And, you know, those are the 2 type of guys you don't want to see go a half hour. So... There's not many.
It was a good stunt show, but I mean...
It was good. I mean, they had the highest attendance ever in WWE history. So
it was something.
It was something.
It was something.
As Michael Cole says, it's a spectacle.
You know what? Really? They had me sitting right next to the hard camera, just a couple of... Thank God I wasn't on the floor. Just a couple of levels up on the riser. And I just remember looking up. I probably won't be able to do it for this episode, but I took some footage of it. Just, will I ever be in a crowd like this again in my life? It was... Austin's reaction was so loud when he came out at that show. It was almost like the building went silent. It was...
Cena got a good pop, too, when he came back to help out The Rock. Remember The Rock faced Rowan in a 2-second match? Yeah. That got a good reaction. Yeah. But, I mean, it was a decent WrestleMania. But I was at, it was at AT&T Stadium in 2016, and I was there in 2017 for Chargers-Cowboys.
We missed you in Dallas, yeah.
Yeah, for Chargers-Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, really?
In Arlington.
All right. Well, Nancy took good care of you, I guess.
Put me over.
Down in Arlington.
So, and
then I remember I couldn't remember where we parked at the end of it, which was a nice...
Oh, those parking lots are just... Those are a mess. If you ever go to AT&T Stadium, even if you have to spend a couple more bucks, park closer to the stadium. Because they have so many parking lots that go way out, and you have no idea where your car is.
I was a guest of WWE, and the people I attended with were not, so they were sitting in a different part of the building. We couldn't find each other when it was over.
It's a big stadium.
I had to try to... Jump a fence isn't the way to describe it, but there was a ledge with a wooden stone that I had to try and gently navigate my way down. It was a shit show trying to get out of there, but we made it.
So as we get back to Raw here, as
Yeah.
we keep going off on, you know,
Going war.
yeah, Razor was cleared prior to AOP being
Oh, we
released
missed
last week.
Razor.
And as I said on the show before, they were supposed to be returning to action in the fall, and he was cleared actually prior to their release. So they were set to come back, and then they released him. You think that's a big? I think it's a big loss for the tag team division.
I think it's a loss for the tag team division, and I think they were lucky Razor was injured, or they probably would have been cut back in April. So they did better than other people whose 90-day no-compete clauses are done. So it'll take AOP until probably Christmas time, getting the downside guarantee. I think there was a lot that could have been done with them. I would have never separated them from Paul Ellering. I thought they were doomed the day that happened, the day after Raw in New Orleans, I believe, was when they called them up to the main roster. I don't know why they have a hard-on for Paul Ellering, and then they put him with the little English guy that pissed his pants.
Drake Maverick. Well, because they said that Paul Ellering was too old to pair with them.
Well, he got them a lot more over than they've been ever since.
And he was just a perfect pairing with them. They fit well.
Drake Maverick really weighed them down, and then you could say you put him with the top guy in Seth Rollins, but Seth Rollins, his gimmick right now is on par with what you see at a funeral home as the Monday Night Messiah. He didn't add much sizzle to the pairing with AOP and the man known as Murphy.
Murphy,
not even to be confused with Bastard Murphy out of Ireland.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know Bastard.
No. And then Cedric Alexander, he turned heel on Raw this past Monday. What did you think about that turn?
Gives him something to do. Worth a shot. Puts him with, well, Bobby's over and has credibility. Shelton they're trying to repackage. MVP's all right as a mouthpiece. It's not going to hurt him. It can only help. Even if it goes nowhere, it goes nowhere. I mean, I don't think he's going to fall much down the food chain more than he already has.
Wasn't doing much before. I mean, giving him a little edge to his character can either help, or if it doesn't help at all, then he's still in the same place that he was when he was a face.
I really would have liked to have seen him and Ricochet as a tag team have a good run, but they decided not to go that route. No,
they turned them heel after a couple weeks of putting them on main event or having them face the same people for a month straight. But what are you going to do? And then another tag team, the Street Profits, will face the SmackDown Tag Team Champion Cesaro and Nakamura next Monday on Raw in a champion versus champion tag team match. Do you think they're going to unify the titles? I think they should.
Yes, because they don't have enough teams.
They don't have that many tag teams, so if you combine the titles, then you can use those as the women's tag team titles, kind of like how they use those. You can go on any brand and do that.
I would have one world champion that would navigate both shows. I would have an Intercontinental on one show and the U.S. on the other. I would have one women's champion, one set of tag team champions. That's it. They have too many titles now. Nobody cares anymore.
And then they could push it as if you're the champion, you can go to both shows and you make more money. So it gives them more incentive.
Well, that's usually how it goes if they're able to wrestle on both shows, yeah.
I know that, but I'm saying the announcers don't put it over that way anymore. They used to back in the day. The champion, I know behind the scenes the champion makes more money, but they never push it to the fans that way. So to the fans, titles are titles. You're just the champion. But the announcers don't push it over.
I would think that a fan would think that the champion would make the most money.
I get that, but I'm just saying they don't say that anymore. They used to, back in the day, push it as that. The champion he was the high guy. Now, championships are just swapped.
I'd have one individual men's champion on both shows, and I'd have a world champion that floats. Do away with them. And the ugly belts that I don't like. Get rid of them all.
I mean, well, that's what I'm saying. But they don't push the champions as like, they make the most money. They're the top guy. It's just,
I guess
they just seem like another guy.
Yeah.
They just seem like another guy in the show. That announcers don't push them up as much. And even the titles, they don't main event anymore. Look at Drew McIntyre and his run. He hasn't main evented a pay-per-view yet.
Yeah.
You know, and even when Brock is champion.
You have two world champions. That's the problem.
I don't know. And then the viewership isn't showing for it either. The Raw viewership for Monday night was 1,725,000.
It's going to fluctuate a little bit. Thunderdome got some eyes on it for a little bit, but at the end, it's the quality of the show. If the fans enjoy it, they're going to keep tuning in. If they don't like the content, they're not. If they're going to be competing with big Major League Sports events this fall between The NHL, the NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball is going to be coming in October. You know, I don't know what you probably know better than me. I don't know what the status of Monday Night Football is going to be in the NFL.
Monday Night Football starts this Monday, whenever you're watching this. But for Week 1 Monday Night Football, there's 2 games. You got Steelers and Giants, and then Titans and Broncos.
That's gonna hurt.
This Monday. So you have 2 games, which is only for 1 week though. So I think their viewership this Monday is going to go down. And then you still have NBA playoffs. You still have NHL playoffs, WNBA, even though not much, but it's still something. You got,
and you know, I don't know the dates, but even a presidential debate, I think, would hurt a wrestling TV show.
Those are going to start coming up more, the political side of it too. So they're going to start getting hit more as the weeks go on.
It's not, people can say, oh, the ratings went up a little bit, they went down a little bit. This is the lowest rated Raw ever. It's the 7th lowest rated Raw ever. The rebound process is going to take a long time. For those that were fans during the Monday Night Wars, the Attitude Era and such, it doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take months and months, maybe even a couple of years of a consistently good product to get those lost eyeballs back. Is it impossible? No, but it's been pretty much a 19-year downward slope since that final bell rang at WrestleMania 17, and there's been very few peaks and many, 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 many valleys since.
Would you compare this era of viewership to any other era in terms of how low it is or how bad?
Well, the live attendance wasn't as bad as it was in 95 and 04 as far as live attendance goes, were really bad. And numbers were down the past couple of years, but not quite that bad. As far as the television numbers go, no, because, as we've seen, it's been consistently, week after week, some of the lowest rated episodes of all time.
I can't see it getting much higher, especially
and they can
with
say,
everything.
The numbers are great on YouTube. Well, great. They're great. A lot of people are watching on YouTube. Great. Is that going to help them when it comes time to renew their television deals with Fox and USA Network?
People don't want to watch the show for 3 hours. What they'll do is they'll hop on YouTube, watch a couple clips, and then they already know what happened that night. So I think putting everything on YouTube the night of or the day after, it kills them. Because say I don't want to watch the show for 3 hours and I have something to do, or I have something, I say, I don't want to watch tonight, I'll catch up on YouTube tonight or tomorrow. They lose how many people, a good number, from people that are just going to put in WWE Raw highlights. And WWE just puts it all on YouTube. I think if they wait a week or a few more days to put all that stuff out there, or only put a certain amount, like just the promos, or just, someone talking on like a microphone in front of like a green screen and like summing up the show, but they put everything from the show on YouTube, which kills their viewership still.
Until WWE gets to the point where they discuss how much money they're making off of YouTube at the quarterly investors meetings, it's not going to be a heck of a lot to sneeze at. And again, you have huge, near billion-dollar TV deals that are going to be coming up in a couple of years with Fox and the USA Network. If those numbers continue to decline, I think they're going to be hard-pressed to match, never mind increase, what they're getting right now for the rights fees. And that's scary to someone that owns WWE stock, like I have.
Like you have, as you've said numerous times on the shows.
My only complaints are that of a stockholder, not someone that doesn't enjoy the product.
Well, those are all the Raw notes that I have.
Unbelievable. Well, I tell you, that's it for the scoops? No other big news?
No, I didn't add anything in today as I was driving here, and then
It'd be kind of hard to drive barefoot and add notes on your way to Boston to see Tony Atlas.
With my polka dot socks.
Well, dusty roads eat your heart out, if I didn't say that already once in this episode.
Well, in the
Give
opening.
him a tug. I know some of the fans, and I know Tania and Maria Davis said if they ever came to the studio, they could use those socks as sleeping bags. They're so long. So I guess they'd have a comfortable place to sleep.
They don't even get to the calf.
All right.
Right there.
Wrestling fans, as we wrap up this great episode, I'd like to thank the prodigy, Matt Degnan, who hopefully someday will take my spot and deal with all these wonderful phone calls and email arguments and all the other fun things I get to do. The Super Chat is open to your right, I believe. It's that wonderful gray little button with the $sign. You click it. It's like giving us a tip for all of our hard work, almost like we're serving you a meal. It's a great meal of insight. Hopefully this episode was a little bit more compact. Like I think I said earlier in the earlier in the show, I made a little joke about the length of the pilot episode. It was a little long in the tooth. It wasn't quite as long as Raw, which was a good thing, but hopefully this will be a little bit more compact and fun to listen to. And then that way we can bring you more episodes because we'll have other content we're going to have throughout the week, along with Tuesday nights, Wrestling Insiders at Your House with Mr. USA Tony Atlas. And then Thursday night, that no-holds-barred look at the sex, drugs, and rock and roll lifestyle of the 80s and 90s through the eyes of Marty Jannetty. Later this month, we're going to have a brand new Friday night program with I don't know how exactly I want to label him yet, but he's going to be an interesting character, to say the least, to join us in studio. That could start as soon as next Friday, a week from today. And all I can think about is all the editing I'm going to have to do. Because, see, I get to do all that fun stuff, too. But anyway, the eBay store has got great merchandise. We're doing the shout-outs on At Your House, Wrestling Insiders with Tony Atlas, any way you want it, for helping us get that great merchandise. Over at bostonwrestling.com/shirts.html, we have a t-shirt bundle that'll knock his socks off, never mind yours.
These are going to be hard to knock off.
You get a WWE t-shirt, you get a WWE cup, you get a mystery autograph photo, and you get an on-air shout-out from Tony, all for the regular price of the t-shirt on WWEshop.com. That is a great deal, folks. We got stuff going on with Corner's Cure. We got the Hot Rod Jacket and some other stuff we're going to be pitching. And we got the Patreon. If you want to become almost, instead of being an extended member of the family, almost a blood member of the family, head on over to patreon.com. You get early ad-free access to the Wrestling Insider episodes with the superstars. You get complete access to the Studio Shoot Interview DVD collection. The ones with the Iron Sheik and Kamala have been on fire from the viewership I've been looking at. Again, it costs you about the same amount of money you'd spend over at Starbucks for a coffee, and instead, you're going to help keep professional wrestling legends working, many of whom need the work where they've been out of work now 6 months and counting. We want to get as many of them in here in this studio as humanly possible. Did I pitch everything?
You pitched everything. That's seared into your brain.
Did I forget any plug?
I don't think so.
Then you know what? I did good.
Oh, the only plug was Beefcake after Clash of Champions, but...
Well, see, I forgot one. And if that wasn't enough, folks, following our live watch-along of Clash of the Champions, Sunday night, September the 27th, Brutus the Barber Beefcake is going to be back for Wrestling Insiders, Strutting and Cutting, where we talk about the year WWF in 1988. It was a lot more interesting than WWE in 2020. Because if you had a pair of scissors for that, you just might go, good night.